under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, welcome to everyone that's here tonight to February 18th, 2025 council meeting. Not a big crowd tonight, is it? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo? Here. Mr. Parsons?
Here.
Mr. Redding?
Here.
Mrs. Dosa?
Here.
Mr. George? Here. Mr. Young?
Here.
Mrs. Rissell?
Okay, everyone is here, accounted for. That's wonderful. Okay, you have before you the minutes from the February 4th council meeting. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at them. Are there any corrections that anybody has seen?
I only have one thing. The second page, the very last line, that highlighted first reading only should not be there. Because on the next page, we passed the ordinance.
Anybody else? Then I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes as printed. Mr. Vissel has made a motion to approve as printed.
It's corrected.
Corrected, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Mr. Bob is seconded on that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence to bring up to council? I have none. Okay, guest and special events.
Yes, we have a guest, you all know, one of our council people, Cordell George. He's been sharing with me a lot of research that he's done about Mount Healthy and the history, and he brought up some information that I thought would be good to present tonight, and then following that, I'm going to have a proclamation. So, Mr. George, we're glad that you are with us always, and the information you bring to us tonight, I think, is something we need to recognize.
Thank you very much. I'll see a different side of me, Cordell the historian tonight. And bear with me. A little bit nervous being at this podium, I guess. Kind of cool. Good evening. Everybody knows me, but my name is Cordell George Jr., and I would like to recognize my mother and father in the audience tonight. This might come as a surprise, because I don't talk that much from my council seat, but I can talk. I can talk a lot, especially from the heart. So with that, I tend to ramble when I'm teaching, so I've written down my thoughts to be more prepared tonight. And it's truly an honor to remark on the following here. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in Mount Healthy since about when it all began for me. I've had the pleasure of being raised here, attending city schools, and in my adulthood, I've really enjoyed giving back to the community in various ways. Those closest to me know that I'm a man who wears many hats. City councilman, museum, professor, historian, a lot. So they all kind of intertwine together. Football coach, forgot. They all intertwine together in this story. First, let me give you some context. Paul, could you grab that napkin? Thank you. First, let me give you some context so you can understand what my thought process was. And keep in mind that the city of Mount Healthy and the school district of Mount Healthy have very different perimeters. So, as of recently, the city of Mount Healthy has crossed the threshold and evolved into a predominantly black community. Not a lot of people realize that. Circumstances haven't always been this way, but it's worth noting that in its stages of infancy, the land today known as Mount Healthy had significant settlement by free blacks, and historians actually refer to the land, then Mount Pleasant, as a refuge during slavery. In fact, the 19th century world-renowned painter, Robert S. Duncanson, painted his first ever popularized landscape painting from his home off Hamilton Avenue in the 1840s. Controversial all the way around, he was black, by the way. Let's fast forward to a few years ago, actually around the same time that I was appointed to my council seat, and I was coaching football and in my graduate studies, and I get this research idea that I want to uncover who was the first black male educator for the city school district. And I had no clue what I was about to uncover. It happened to be a Friday night football game, and I was on the field on the sideline. And if you know how Mount Healthy football games were, there's like a lot of regulars every week. So naturally, I go to another sideline regular who I know has taught in the district for quite a long time, and I'm thinking surely he may have some insight. And I'm referring to a former teacher and mentor of my own, Mr. Lorenzo Belcher. For several reasons, what he told me shocked me. I said, "Hey, Mr. Belcher, how you doing? I'm working on a project for school," and I explained to him what the project is about. I want to research who the first black male teacher was, and he pauses for a moment, a bit of a dramatic pause, and he says, "It was me." And for many reasons, that shocked me, as you can imagine. And I could sense that Mr. Belcher realized the importance of me asking him that question. So we both agreed to coordinate at a later date and time where I could sit down with him and conduct an oral history interview. I remember we met up at a library and we talked for hours about his upbringing, his family, and his career. And I remember I couldn't help but feel a particular connection with Mr. Belcher, being that we were both proud to be of biracial descent. Though similar in many regards, our backgrounds were much different. Mr. Belcher grew up in a coal mining town of Crumpler, West Virginia, born in 1939, the second youngest of 10 children. His father served as a district principal for 30 years, and one of his brothers later carried that torch, while two of his other brothers were both valedictorian at their high school and went on to obtain doctoral degrees. Mr. Belcher recalled a comment made about him and his family. "What do black men need with so much education?" As a youth, Mr. Belcher would travel miles away to attend racially segregated schools, as this was the only option for him. After graduating from Bluefield State College, he married his lifelong sweetheart, Betty, and began having the first of their 7 children. In the midst of that, Mr. Belcher began his teaching career in 1963 at Christiansburg High School Institute, and subsequently taught at Excelsior High School, both of which were colored schools in West Virginia. It's worth noting that he began his teaching career during arguably one of the most intense political eras of our nation's history, and taught at a colored school despite a decade-old federal mandate to end segregation in our nation's public schools. In 1969, Mr. Belcher and his family relocated to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he began his master's degree at the University of Cincinnati. Soon thereafter, he picked up a job as math teacher at Mount Healthy High School and was able to purchase his family a home in the school district's limits. Mr. Belcher arrived here during what local historians would call an urban boom. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Cincinnati's black population grew 226%. and more families found residence in surrounding, developing suburban communities. Mr. Belcher stated in the interview, "I experienced more prejudices in Cincinnati comparative to his life back in West Virginia." From 1973 to 1993, Mr. Belcher Mr. Belcher worked at Mount Healthy High School and simultaneously a night shift at Kmart to support his family in a span of over 4 decades, precisely 42 years. Mr. Belcher served as math teacher, the first district math coordinator, the first dean of students, summer school coordinator, credit recovery coordinator, faculty sponsor of a chess club and a Black cultural workshop for the students. When asked what he missed the most about teaching, he said, "Simply being there for the kids. I always stayed late and kept a stock of all kinds of supplies they might need. I even made myself available on the weekends." Researching his story led me down a series of rabbit holes, which I know make me sharing this in this moment very timely. Despite this community having a rich Black history and heritage, it hasn't always been warmly embraced. There was a 75-year gap between James H. Anderson, the first Black graduate of Mount Healthy, and Lorenzo Belcher, the first Black teacher. There exist even wider gaps in other categories. As we continue to grow as a community, I think it's important to celebrate stories like these, as they may inspire our future generations, our future community leaders. For me, this was an honor and a dignified way to do my part by bringing upon awareness and paying homage to those who have paved the way before me. Thank you, and God bless Mount Health.
It's really good.
Very nice job, Cordell, very nice.
Mr. Belcher, I remember him as a math teacher for two of my kids, and we asked him if he could come this evening, and he really didn't want to. He's a very quiet, humble person. He didn't want all of that recognition. But when Cordell shared this with me, and he's been sharing more of his research that he's been doing here in Mount Healthy, I just thought it was great to recognize a teacher, our first Black male teacher here in Mount Healthy. And with that, I'd like to give a proclamation that'll be posted down in the right outside the offices in the display case. Proclamation, whereas the City of Mount Healthy is a richly diverse community, and whereas the City of Mount Healthy encourages diversity of residents, business owners, government representatives, and employees, and whereas the City of Mount Healthy celebrates its Black history and the Underground Railroad, and whereas the City of Mount Healthy actively promotes unity through diversity. Now, therefore, I, Jennifer Moody, Mayor of the City of Mount Healthy, proudly observe Black history and the diverse spirit and unity it provides. This is today, as of February the 18th, and it'll be posted downstairs, and I think we need to be very proud of the diversity we have here in Mount Healthy. And I'm so glad that Mr. George was able to give us the information of Mr. Belcher tonight, and we certainly are very thankful for all the contributions Mr. Belcher did to our community and is still part of our community. And as another aside, I went to, Mr. Cordell did a whole class on genealogy. I went past Saturday at the Avondale Library. It was very well attended, and it was extremely interesting, all the work that he's done and that you do for genealogy. And I know he'll be presenting that here in the Mount Healthy Library soon. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Cordell, once again, thank you very much. Okay. Public input. Anybody here who'd like to address council? Jeannie, wanna thumb your nose at us? No. Okay.
Look look at Cordell, he's like, oh, Mom.
He's like, oh no. 70 George, George, 7708 Warner Avenue, Mount Healthy, Ohio, 45231. Thank you, every one of you. I stood up here, 6 or 7 years ago, crying my eyes out, trying to introduce him to you guys. I guess I don't need to do that anymore. But I do want to say one thing. I just want to piggyback something. That kid went for his master's degree and started studying genealogy, but he started doing some things through Boone County Library. And he literally, after going through census records, stumbled upon his father's mother's side of the family that was actually enslaved in Boone County, Kentucky, on a plantation in there. And to hear him speak about his own lineage and heritage and background is just unbelievable. But he is Mount Healthy. He's lived here his entire life. I'm just glad that you got off that little bicycle when Jenny told you to in preschool. But no, thank you all. It was great seeing you all.
You too.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you very much. I love Mount Healthy. We all love Mount Healthy. Just make sure that you don't put my name back on any resolutions. Love you all.
Yeah, we got you all signed up. Your name's all registered down at the Board of Elections.
His name's spelled Cordel. Okay, bye.
Okay.
I said what I said.
Hey, we're going to move on. Committee reports. Beautification, Ms. Lingo?
I don't have a report, but I'd like to call a meeting. Do I do this now or under new business?
You can do it now.
Okay. March 4th at 6 o'clock here in council to discuss Clean Up Mount Healthy for April 26th. For what? Clean Up Mount Healthy. The date of the event is April 26th, but March 4th is the committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development, Mr. Young.
I have no report tonight.
Finance, Mr. Parsons.
No report.
Library, Ms. Dosa.
Just one, nothing new to report other than that the library is adjusting and doing well, that they do have now a safety specialist, is that the correct way to say it? In the library, just to help monitor things. There had been some issues that we've talked about for the last couple of meetings, and things have started to dwindle down. So that specialist will be there for a few weeks, and then they'll reassess. So that's a great thing. Parks and commissions, can I just keep going?
Sure.
Okay. We had a meeting today, and Denise, you just said you're having a meeting March 4th. We're having another follow-up meeting, March 4th at 6
Oh,
p.m.
I forgot.
That's okay. We can meet over there.
Okay.
That's fine. At 6 p.m., just to kind of do an update. We had a great meeting. We talked about upcoming things that we would like to bring to the park. We will have some upcoming events to kick off the summer concert series in June. We'll also have another pool party in July. We're going to look into having movie nights to start back up in August when it gets a little darker outside. We're looking into working collaboratively with the fire department and the police department to host an event. More details to come later after speaking with the chiefs. We're looking to bring in other events into the park this summer. We're going to reach out to different entities like the Children's Art Museum, the Children's Theater, Madcap Puppets, Shakespeare in the Park. We're going to reach out to a bunch of different other entities to see if they can come into the park if they have availability. If so, we'll offer some of those programs this summer. We also are looking forward to having upcoming Mulberry Festival in the park this summer. That'll be June 8th, and then there'll be an upcoming Mulberry Walk to proceed, oh, no, it's before that, June 1st. And then the Mulberry Festival will be on June 8th. So we have a lot of things that we're looking forward to that'll be happening in the upcoming summer. And one of the goals for us is to make sure that we have a lot more outreach to news outlets, to the city, on the website, the Facebook pages, social media, just letting people know of all the different things that we'll be doing in the park and upcoming events, and for them to be able to support them. We do still have the park bench that was donated by by Ron Reedy and the Ken Kefmeyer Foundation. We're waiting for warmer weather. We did talk about that previously before we can put that in the park. and we'll do a dedication for that. More details about that to follow when the weather gets warmer. We're still working with PES, Playground Equipment Services, to get equipment in the park. They gave me a first draft of ideas for an area for 2 to 5, more sensory, looking into different kind of slides and playground equipment to put up at the top part, but also an idea of how we could utilize the bottom part of that for children from the ages of 2 to 5, and add some special things in there for children that have like sensory issues or on the spectrum, et cetera, disabilities. So working with them to get some more ideas and drafts for that to share with you, hopefully in the future. And then also, we just want to make sure everybody knows that we have our concert series set up. So we're looking forward to having that to go forward. And I'm looking for council people here in a couple of months to help volunteer for those nights. So I'll get that to you as soon as it gets closer to that time. And that is all that I have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Safety, Mr. Redding.
No report tonight, but the chief is here.
No. Schools, Mr. George.
No report.
Streets, Ms. Rissel. No report. Mayor's report, Ms. Jenny Moody.
I just have just one or two items. There's a application that either I or the Alliance will be putting out there to a grant for Put a Lid on It bike helmet. And I've spoken with the chief, and we'll probably, it looks like, I think we would get the grant and would be getting bike helmets and then being able to distribute them and talk to kids about bike safety. So that'll be worked on. Also met with Mrs. Worley at the library, and we're looking at maybe a program that will be offered for youth at the library, and we'll be looking at a endowment or a grant offering for money to support this. That'll be maybe coming in the future. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Questions for the mayor? Okay, city manager, Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, just a few things here. Fire department, the organizational assessment is complete. It's at the printer right now, and I've been told it'll be delivered on Thursday between 11 and 11:30. So we'll review that. It's probably going to be 150 pages. Go over it with the chief. We kind of know some of the recommendations already, but we'll go through and kind of figure out what our responses are to it, and then we'll have some kind of presentation to the safety committee maybe, or if we want to do it in full council, we can, but we can kind of figure that out after we get the report. But should be getting that Thursday. Let's see, I'll leave all the police department stuff to chief. For roads, I did include in my report on Friday, I sent the cut list for the OPWC projects. And I guess I just wanted to highlight, and I've got a physical copy if anyone hasn't looked at it yet, but we typically do 70 or 80% match request, grant request. So if it's $1 million project, we're asking for $700,000 to $800,000 to be a grant. If you look at everyone else, it's pretty much closer to 50 is kind of the average, I think. So just in a few months here, we'll be discussing the next OPWC projects. I don't know if we want to, we can start having discussions on how much we want our match to be, but it may be in our best interest to potentially lower it to 60, maybe 50. I don't know. I mean, we're still, the last one went through at 70%, but I don't know, just we can talk to JMA about it, but just wanted to highlight that. Let's see, rental registration letters, those are out. We're starting to get checks. I did select a property maintenance software package. That's funded through our CDBG money, so that will be a form. Right now, we just do everything in Excel. So if we see high grass, we just log it in Excel, which works, but now we'll actually be able to take pictures and have a formal documentation process. People can type in notes, and it'll just be much easier to kind of keep everything organized, but you can use it for business licenses, rental registration, property maintenance, fire inspections, kind of anything and everything. So excited for that. See, the tree commission grant, I don't know if anyone saw the Bartlett machinery going around. We took down 4 dead hazardous trees. I think there were 2 on Joseph, 1 on Lincoln. I know I'm forgetting the 4th, but then there were 3 or 4 other ones around town that we did some pruning. So that was all through the grant. Just hazardous trees that were just on their last leg that needed to come down or had some branches that were ready to fall out. So nice to take care of those. Let's see here. The pruning class is rescheduled for March 21st. That'll be here in council at 12:30. That's a Friday. I know there's a honeysuckle removal event Saturday, March 8th. It's been rescheduled a couple times because of the cold. So March 8th, there'll be honeysuckle removal in the wetlands. Let's see, I know my other attachment on my report, the $11 million price tag for all the streetscape improvements. So I'm setting up a meeting with Human Nature and Bruce Construction. They're the ones who built the estimate here. We'll see if we can't kind of break that out and get a little more detail and see if we can get that price down or at least figure out kind of maybe project-based if we wanted to work at this intersection, how much it would cost, or if this little side street or this alley, kind of how we can make it in more bite-sized chunks. So I'll be setting up that meeting soon. I've updated my grants here. You know, the 3 facade improvement projects have been selected. What's it going to be? It's aquatics and exotics, Brotherton's, and what do we call we call it the Underground Railroad Building. Does everyone know what that is? That's at Compton and, or not?
Compton and Hamilton.
Hamilton, Compton.
The old Ludwig shoe store.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the old Ludwig shoe store.
Okay. That building. So those 3 will be the ones that get the next round of county facade improvement funds. That was $160,000. Be a 20% match that they have to at least kick in. But we'll be getting that started this spring and just applied for another round of facade dollars through the county. So if we get approved for that, that can be our 3rd phase. So kind of working our way through the downtown area. So I'm excited for that. I believe that's all that I have. That's all I got.
Okay, questions for Mr. Bauer? Okay, then, we're going to move on, thank you, sir, to the police chief's report. Chief Didetimer.
Yeah, good evening, council. I'd like to introduce Austin Jones. He's our newest officer. He just graduated, well, about a month ago from the Ohio State Highway Patrol Academy. Pretty intense 18-week training. If you make it through that, that's an achievement unto itself. So he started about a month ago. Austin, you can introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Austin Jones. Like Chief said, went through OSP, the Columbus Academy up there, and yeah, it was pretty rigorous training as far as that goes, but I'm excited for the opportunity to work for Mount Healthy. For the last month, I've already seen, like, I'm enjoying it a ton. Night shift is fun. But overall, this is something I wanted to do for a long time. I've always kind of had a calling to law enforcement in a way. A lot of influences throughout my life, and I'm just excited to serve, and as far as serving Mount Healthy, I'm excited. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome to Mount Healthy.
Welcome to Mount Healthy. We're very glad to have you.
That's the 3rd Jones on the police department. We can't hire any more Joneses. We're 18% Joneses, so we're going to knock that off. So it's great. Helps us as far as manpower. Probably another FTO for another 2 months, and then he'll be cut loose on his own. We should get Jared Seaman back from light duty at the end of this month as well. So we'll be back up to full strength. So manpower, we're looking good. Regarding reports, I'm going to refer back to the end of 2024 numbers. I like the numbers. Looks like we had about a 32% decrease in Part 1 crimes in 2024. I know at last year at this time we experienced some pretty horrific crimes, but we were able to really right the ship, and I think it's a credit to Sergeant Jones and all the officers in Mount Healthy out there, making sure we're putting in the guardrails to people know where their limits are. I mean, arrests are down, but also I think the ability to go out there and talk to business people, bar owners, going through towing vehicles and holding people accountable, realizes that we're a vigilant organization and we're out there doing it. So the safety not just necessarily doesn't reflect in the number of arrests you make, but also the numbers of arrests you don't make. So bottom line, I think people are behaving. I know everybody likes the traffic enforcement. We had a 42% increase in traffic citations in 2024 and a slight decrease of 17.5 decrease in traffic crashes. So I do think those are related. And we will continue that effort regarding traffic citations. I know that's a big complaint in the city, and we will do what we can to keep working on that effort. Let's see. Good news is Clovernook Apartments has reinstated their detail, which is a standalone detail where officers work there and they have the ability to work between 3 o'clock and midnight. So officers can sign up for that. So what it does is, and that's fully paid by Clovernook. They also have to pay for a cruiser. it's a great program. It's a win-win for Clovernook because obviously it's a tourist crime, but also we have another officer on the road as well. So we have 2 officers. We may, at some point in time, we have 4 officers on the road. So if something kicks off, we got the manpower to handle it. So it's a great thing. Regarding flock safety, we signed the contract, and we'll be putting additional 3 flock cameras in. One will be down by the entrance to Hilltop. This is a full zoom, penta-zoom camera that has a 30-day retention on recording. So officers can actually log into flock in a different part of the city and actually log in and see what's going on down at Hilltop and monitor this. The resolution on these things is amazing. I mean, the technology with these cameras, you can zoom out. You're looking at probably about 300-yard visibility, and even the night vision is really, really good. So it's a great investment, and we're looking at possibly recouping some of this money through the grant. That which leads me to other grant stuff. We are, even though the government has put a moratorium on some grants, stuff related to law enforcement and public safety still are a go. And we're expecting these things to kick off. So we are hopefully putting in for a grant. We are putting in for a grant to recoup not only money for the flock camera system, but also possibly the speed humps. So more to come on that. That's really all I got. I mean, we have a slow start to 2024. I'd like to keep it that way. I'm sure the weather is affecting that as well. But our guys are doing good jobs. I mean, we are. They're just out there. They're doing the right things. So I'm happy.
Wonderful to hear, Chief.
Yeah.
Wonderful to hear. Questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Is Speedway complying with closing or whatever they were gonna do?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And since Chris is here, he can even, not to put you on the spot, but the effect of Speedway closing at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's been great for the city, reduces vehicular traffic, loitering, disturbance runs, trouble runs, all in the decrease from that area.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
good, thanks.
a great decision on your guys' part. Thank you for supporting us. That was really, really good, so.
Yeah, I was surprised they were agreeing to do that
Not saying
that
it
quickly.
won't- Yeah, not saying that it won't in the future, sir, but who knows, as of right now, they're all for it as well.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's wonderful. Anybody else have a question?
I got a question. The detail at Clovernook, that's 3 to 12, 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
And is that our officers that they're hiring, or is it
It's
any
our
officer?
As of right now, it's our officers. Depending on availability, we may look at other, going out to like maybe Springfield Township, North College Hill to do that. But right now, it's our officers, and everything's paid in full through Clovernook. Officers get paid through finance, and we recoup that money.
That's a good thing, but we don't want to burn our officers out too, so.
True that.
Spread it around a little bit.
We keep, I think we keep an eye on that. I mean, yeah, I don't want officers working 60 hours a week and everything
Right,
like that. I mean, you can fall in love with that detail money, tell me, I know, but, yeah, I'll make sure we keep it monitored. Good point, sir.
Everybody likes the money, but we don't want people being too tired to do their job.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Well, Chief, thank you very much for coming up and attending, and Officer, it was a pleasure to meet you. Hope to see you out on the street, shake your hand, and convince you not to give me a ticket. I'm dead now, boy, he's gonna get me. Okay. Going to move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have no second readings of ordinances or second reading of resolutions, but we have a first reading on an ordinance and a resolution. We'll do the ordinance first. Ordinance number 25-2062, an ordinance adding section 76.041, parking on a cul-de-sac prohibited to the City of Mount Healthy Code of Ordinances.
So as requested, the short is item B, kind of towards the bottom of the first page. All cul-de-sacs within the city are hereby designated as fire lanes. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. Talking with law director, I mean, basically he thinks, we'll go through there's the 30-day process of this taking effect. I mean, I think we kind of have to wait till we get before we really start enforcing this, getting all the signage up. That is if we pass it, but getting all the signage up, just making sure we do the education so we can kind of limit any issues. But I think this will accomplish what we're talking about. There's only a handful of cul-de-sacs, but it'll really make it easy for our guys to turn around their big trucks, the engines. Yeah, I think I think this will make the fire department happy, this will make Public Works happy, but, yeah.
Probably make a lot of citizens happy when their driveway's not being blocked.
Yeah, a lot of places do this. I mean, it's not, it's not in the Ohio Revised Code. You actually have to pass this to make it happen, but, I mean, it's extremely common throughout the state to have things like this. I think a lot of people just assume that is the case, that you can't park in the cul-de-sac because it's so common, but we do not technically have it on the books. We have it noted where if it's a, we have like 10 or 15 streets that are snow emergency streets, but I don't know that's really as clear as it could be that you shouldn't park in the cul-de-sac. So this will make it as explicit as it can be.
Okay, council, questions, comments? How do you wish to handle this, first reading or?
Want to pass it?
Is administration okay with first reading?
Yeah,
Just
either
to
would be
give-
fine. I mean, it won't be like as an emergency where it would take effect immediately.
Right,
I mean,
right.
regardless, just again, because we want to do the education first, but so however quickly you would want to do it is fine with me.
I guess we should let the public see it, and know
Yeah,
about it, so.
Yep, that's what I was thinking, yep.
First reading.
First
First
reading?
reading.
Sure.
Everybody
good.
all right over that?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have a first reading of a resolution, 25-1225, a resolution to allow the city of Mount Healthy in Hamilton County, Ohio, to purchase and use employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy through the public entities of pool instead of individual certi bonds? Is that word right?
Surety bonds, surety.
Bond for officers, employees, appointees, and elected officials.
So Public Entities Pool is our liability insurance company, PEP, P-E-P. Right now, we have our dishonesty and faithful performance through, I forget what Melanie would know it, through another company, and this would just simplify it, allowing us to have it in one policy. So this is people like myself and Melanie that would be insured, basically people that touch money, and there could be potential for fraud, and also council members if anybody were to do anything fraudulent, anything like that, this would allow us to be insured for up to a certain amount. So this is just, the insurance company requires a resolution from council to move it all into one. I think this is probably only going to increase our policy. I think we pay maybe $250 a year right now for it. So it's probably about the same. But again, this is just authorizing it to move it to our current policy with PEP.
Questions, council?
Obviously, you want this passed tonight because it's got today's date in it.
Yes, please.
Is this going to be effective 1st of March or back to January?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll, I'm trying to think.
Guess you
I
can't
think March
backdate
1st is when
insurance.
is that what it is? March 1st is when our policy, I can't remember if it's, they'll backdate it to whenever the beginning of our policy is for this year. I mean, to include it in it. So, I mean, whenever it were to be passed, they would make it work for us. But yeah, if we could do it in one reading, that would be great.
Okay, before we move to that, make sure there's no more questions regarding what this is. Okay. Now, I would ask for a motion to suspend.
I make a motion to suspend the two reading rule for resolution 25-1225.
Okay, Mr. Redding has made a motion, seconded by Ms. Rissel. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mrs. Rissel?
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, two reading rules been suspended. Any questions again? Now I would ask for a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 25-1225.
Mr. Young has made a motion to adopt. Seconded by Mr. Cordell. George? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mrs. Rissel?
By a vote of 7-0, resolution number 25-1225 is adopted. Thank you, council. Old business. I got one thing I'd like to bring up again, that's under old business, is the Mount Healthy, is this old news. Mount Healthy has been given a gold certificate from the auditor from the state of Ohio. You remember it all from last week. I just wanted to say kudos to the finance department again. I think that is so important that our citizens know that their money's being protected, and what was the percentage?
Did you say 13%?
13% of the cities receive this.
Yeah.
So we're in a very elite class for taking care of our finances. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, old business. New business. Ms. Lingo.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Dosa has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned.